Hey Amarillo, I'm Skylar Gallup, and you're listening to Hey Amarillo, the interview podcast featuring some of the most interesting people and stories of Amarillo, Texas. We record every week at Amarillo College's Innovation Outpost. The I.O. supports education, workforce development, and industry growth by inspiring and facilitating innovation in the Texas Panhandle. Today's guest is Caroline Ellison. Caroline works for the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department as the wildlife biologist, covering a large swath of the Texas Panhandle. She works in lots of different ways to help manage and steward our wild places and brings with her a super interesting and unique perspective. This episode is for anyone that thinks we've got a whole lot of nothing up in the Panhandle. Caroline proves that untrue, and, in fact, makes it her living to preserve the beauty and abundance of the high plains. Plus, she gets to play with critters, which is always just super fun. Here's Caroline. Caroline Ellison, welcome to the Hey Amarillo podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's so nice to be here.
It's very, very fun to meet you, and I'm excited to get into your work and your backstory.
Oh, yeah, great.
Yeah. Let's start out. You're not from here.
No.
Where are you from?
So I'm originally from Northern California, kind of between Sacramento and Lake Tahoe area.
Beautiful.
Really gorgeous, but smoggy and a lot of people. So my family moved to Northern Colorado when I was in high school, lived there for 4 years, and then came down to Texas to go to WT. So moved down here in 2010 and have not left.
Nice. What part of Colorado, Northern Colorado, where?
Wellington, along the Front Range. So a lot of people know it's the last gas station on your way to Cheyenne, which has grown a lot since I've moved away. But there's a little more than gas stations there now. But when I lived there, they're basically just gas stations.
That's a very important distinction.
Yes.
The last gas station is like, pay attention.
Yeah.
Check your gauge.
Really, the reason most people stop there is because they need gas.
How fun. Is it similar to the High Plains? You said it's down out of the mountains, right?
Yes. Yeah. So on the Front Range of Colorado, so kind of similar weather, very windy, very dry.
Okay.
Not quite as hot. But yeah, flat prairie kind of country.
What brought you to WT?
So originally I came to WT to be an equine business major.
Nice.
And to ride on the equestrian team. I'm a horse girl. I read English, so I came to go be a horse trainer was my original plan. And then I decided that I didn't want to rely on horse people to make a living because I wanted to enjoy horses as a hobby. And so I switched my major to wildlife biology. I originally didn't even know that was a option for careers until I met another wildlife major. And I was like, oh, you can major and get a job and be a scientist that works with wild animals. So changed my major my second semester at WT, and it all worked out. I didn't know what I was going to do with it at the time, but it's been a really great career.
Nice. I want to go back to the dressage. That's so interesting. How'd you get into that?
So originally, I was a 3-day eventer, so that's like horse triathlon, basically. So it's dressage one day, cross country, which is kind of like a steeplechase, jumping over terrain and things like that. The second day, and then the final day is show jumping. So dressage is kind of the foundation of that, and met some really great people who train dressage and got involved with some classical dressage trainers, and just went with that. It's really fun.
Now, was this out in California, or did you pick it up in Colorado? Like, when did you guys get horses? When did you become a horse girl?
So when I was in kindergarten, I was like that classic horse-obsessed little girl, and I told my parents, like, I want a horse.
I want a pony.
Yes. And they said, okay, if you save up all your money, you can buy yourself one. Well, I took that seriously.
Oh. And
saved all my money starting from age 5 until I was 15. And when we moved to Colorado, I was able to buy a horse.
That is so precious.
Yeah. So I did ride in California. I just took lessons and worked to pay for some of them. And when we moved to Colorado, I was able to buy a horse. She was 11 when I bought her, and she died a couple years ago at 27.
Oh, what was her name?
Winnie.
Winnie.
She was my girl, my big red mare.
Oh my goodness. How sweet. That is like the quintessential little girl pony story.
Yes. Yeah. I am that horse girl. Yep.
That's very sweet. So the English style of writing, though, was it just somebody down the street from you was doing it, so that's what you
Basically,
did? Or
my local librarian recommended my original instructor
love a
to my mom,
librarian.
and I'm so thankful for her because it's been a wonderful world to be a part of. And it's more common in California than Western. I would say it's probably split 50-50 in Northern California between English and Western. And then I just really enjoyed jumping and kept up with it. And I can ride Western. I've always thought that like riding a cutting horse would be really fun. That's one of the Western things I haven't gotten to do. But riding reiners, my roommate in college rode reiners. So I got to ride some of her horses, and super fun. But
it is remarkable to watch.
Oh, yeah. It's
watch
really
them
fun.
cut.
Oh, yeah. It's
wild.
So cool. Those horses are awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would love to get to sit on a cutter.
Yeah. There's it's just the athleticism.
Yes.
Is stunning.
It's amazing how they can just get down and they're crouched down and moving back and forth. It's awesome.
And WT is a great place for that.
It is. They have a really phenomenal equestrian team. Dr. Pipkin was who was running it at the time. I think he still is. I don't think he's retired quite yet.
Cool.
But he was amazing. He was a big reason why I chose WT. He was just so welcoming. When I met him, really made me feel at home and like I was important. Which, that's really important, to find people that value you and want to be around you. So it made a big difference.
I think that really is that's something that WT does really successfully. Yeah. I came to WT for the same reason. Mm-hmm. I had a relationship here, and they made me feel like this was the place that I was going to find success and find my place and kind of be at home. Yeah, that's great.
And once I switched to the wildlife program, I got a lot of that as well. Like I got really close to my professors. I'm still in contact with some of them, and they're the reason I got my career that I have. They've just been really, really wonderful. And the program has changed a lot since I was there. There's been a lot of new staff on the wildlife side of things, but the small class sizes at WT are really great, just because you get to know your professors, you get to know all the students that are in your cohort, and you kind of build like a little school family.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is really powerful and important.
Yeah, I agree. So wildlife biology, what does getting that degree look like? I am assuming it's like very hands-on, your classroom is in our backyards, that kind of a thing. It sounds very fun.
Yeah, it was really a fun degree. I loved it because you got to touch everything.
Yeah.
So lots of dealing with like stuffed animal specimens in lab to learn how to identify different species, or pickled reptiles and fishes and things like that.
Pickled reptiles.
Yes, so pull your snake out of the jar of formalin.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, or spiders and jars of ethanol and things like that.
Oh, my children would be just in their very, very happy place.
Yes.
I don't think I'm even going to let them know that like that's an option, or else my house will turn into a WT lab of pickled reptiles. Yeah,
little kids love me because I'm like, yes, give me all your crazy questions about
all your
that bug.
Weird stuff. Yeah.
Yes, I love it.
That's
so much
great.
Fun. So yeah, a lot of hands-on classes. Like you have a whole class that's just on how to catch things. Like think of a critter, you learn how to catch it, whether that is a bear or a praying mantis.
Oh my gosh.
The whole spectrum.
How to catch things 101.
It's called wildlife management techniques. But
of course.
Essentially, it's how to catch stuff.
That's so fun. Okay, so you've got your wildlife biology degree. Mm-hmm. Did you have like a plan for what you were going to go into, or it was just like, this is fun, let's go do it?
So originally I had no plan. It was just, I like being outside, I like animals, I like science. So let's see what this degree is about. So when I was an undergrad, I joined the Wildlife Society at WT. They have a student chapter there, and every month they bring in guest speakers to present, and usually it's professional biologists doing different things with their degree. So I learned from that I was kind of very interested in working for Texas Parks and Wildlife.
Cool.
I really like the state agency and kind of what their mission is of connecting people to the outdoors and conserving our wild animals and wild places. That really resonated with me.
Yeah.
And my original goal was to be a biologist on a wildlife management area. I'd done a field trip with one of my classes to the Matador Wildlife Management Area, which is between Paducah and Childress.
Okay, yep.
And I was really fortunate that after I finished my master's degree at WT in 2016, a job opened at the Matador WMA.
Amen.
Yeah, so I interviewed for it. I thought I had no chance at getting it. TPWD had been in a hiring freeze for a couple of years, so the job market was super, super competitive. So I went into that interview with the assumption I had no chance. So I wasn't nervous because I felt like there was no chance I was going to get it. And I got the job, and it was a dream job. I was there for 8 years and had so much fun. It's an amazing property. It's 40 square miles of rolling plains, and just had a ton of fun doing research on a bunch of different critters, working with public hunters, doing habitat restoration. And then about 6 months ago, decided it was time for a change. My husband got a job offer in Happy, Texas. He's the pastor of the First Baptist Church there. And at the same time that they had reached out to him about pastoring there, a job opened up in Canyon for Parks and Wildlife as a biologist for a bunch of counties up on the High Plains. And it just worked out perfectly that I was able to transfer up to Canyon, and we were able to move to Happy, and it's been really wonderful so far. So we moved to Happy in July. And
just in July.
Just in July.
Okay, welcome.
So then I had my daughter 12 days later after we moved in. That is not I would not recommend moving when you're like 9 months pregnant.
That's another level of nesting.
Yes.
It's not what we asked for.
No, it was stressful and chaotic, but the church was wonderful. They helped me like unpack my house, which was phenomenal. I love the people there. And it all worked out, but it was a lot of change all at once. New house, new jobs, new baby, all at once.
Yeah.
But it's been good.
Well, congratulations. Your baby girl is 3 months, you told me.
Yes, 3 months. I'm just back from maternity leave for like a week and a half.
That's wonderful.
So, yeah.
I have some questions. I want to understand the Matador job a little bit better. So it was what is the Matador what?
Matador Wildlife Management Areas.
So what is that? And it's not a state park, which is kind of, I think, what most people are more familiar with when we think of the Parks and Wildlife Department.
Yeah.
A wildlife management area. Yes. What's that look like?
So Texas Parks and Wildlife is separated out into different divisions. So we have State Park Division. They manage all of our state parks, which are primarily managed for public access and use and enjoyment, which is wonderful. I'm in the wildlife division, so we manage properties mainly for wildlife conservation and public hunting opportunity. So the Matador WMA is about 40 square miles, 28,000 acres, give or take, and we manage that for public access, for public hunting, and then more kind of rugged use. We don't have any maintained trails there, but you can just get off and go hike wherever you want, as long as it's not a restricted area, which there are a couple. And you can go out there and public hunt. So as long as you purchased your annual public hunting permit, which is $48, it allows you to access all of the wildlife management areas in the state of Texas to do walk-in hunts for things like dove and quail and archery, feral hogs, things like that. Yeah. You can check our public hunting book online if you want to see what you can hunt on different WMAs. Just Google TPWD public hunting. And that'll pull up for you. The Matador WMA is really well known for its quail hunting. We have one of the strongest quail populations in the state of Texas. We've managed the property for quail for the last, 60 plus years. We have a really thriving quail population. It's a great place to quail hunt, especially this year. It's going to be a pretty good quail year. So
because of the rain?
Yes.
Yeah.
Timely rainfall really impacts quail numbers. So
interesting.
This has been a great year for it.
Cool.
So yeah, it's a really great place. So not only are we managing for that public access, also doing habitat restoration. So converting it from the kind of brushy scrub that it's become back to more of a native prairie savanna type ecosystem. So killing a lot of mesquite trees, a lot of cedar trees, do prescribed fire out there to kind of mimic historic fire regimes from either lightning strike fires or fires set by indigenous people. So doing habitat management, and then also it's a great outdoor laboratory, basically, for any sort of research project, whether that be university research, so facilitated projects with graduate students and things like that, but also conducting my own research, things like banding songbirds to look at their survivorship and how many babies they can have and things like that, down to we monitor ornate box turtles and Texas horn lizards. If you guys have heard of the reintroduction efforts they're doing in the hill country for horn lizards, the Matador WMA is one of the source populations for horn lizards because we have a really thriving horn lizard population there.
Do you?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I'm just like a little outdoorsy person and have been my whole life, and now my kids are too. And I've noticed that there are so fewer horny toads
Yes.
that, I remember growing up, which I grew up a little bit south of here, so south of Lubbock.
Okay.
And they were just all over the stinking place. You know what I mean? Like we would catch them, and now they're so scarce. I don't think I've even seen one up here. However, down closer to San Angelo, I see a lot.
Yeah. So I think
what's going on with that? The little horny toads.
Great question. We're trying to figure out exactly what that is. And so far, it seems to be that it's kind of the death by 1,000 cuts. So there's a whole bunch of different factors that are leaning to horny toad decline. So part of it is people killing ants. So especially further south where they have a problem with fire ants, you put out poison for those fire ants. Well, you also kill off all the good ants that those horned lizards are eating. Ants are a major component of their diet.
Yeah.
So if you kill off the ants, it's like you're taking away their grocery store. Then habitat destruction, a horned lizard's not going to do as well in a neighborhood
a parking lot,
right, as they are in native rangeland. So conversion of land use from like cattle ranching operations, like a horny toad can exist just fine on a cattle ranch. Not going to do well in a Walmart parking lot. So habitat loss, killing fire ants, those are probably the two main factors.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, do horny toads shoot blood out of their eyes?
Yes.
Yes,
they do. If you stress them out enough, I take pride.
Stress them out enough. Now I feel like a very bad child.
So I've never had one shoot blood at me because maybe I've just gotten lucky, and I try and handle them gently, I guess.
With care.
But yeah, if you stress them out enough, they can shoot blood. They can actually aim it, and they aim for your eyes.
Oh no!
Because basically, you're a scary predator. You're a giant monster that just picks them up. So they're hoping you're going to get freaked out and drop them. So
which is exactly what would occur.
Yep. Yep, so they can totally do that.
Gosh.
I also want to dispel another horny toad myth.
Please.
People talk about, I can put it on its back and hypnotize it, and it goes to sleep. Well, the reason it goes to sleep is because it can't breathe.
Oh my gosh.
So you're suffocating it.
I'm issuing a public apology to the horny toad population in West Texas.
So as long as you don't leave it on its back for too long, you probably haven't caused lasting damage, but it's still not a very kind thing to do. So maybe don't try and hypnotize them by putting them on their back. Just hold them normal.
Just hold them normal.
Yeah.
Just watch them. They're really hard to catch, too.
They're quick, and they're spiny.
They're spiny.
Yeah. They're cool
what
critters.
other critters? Okay, so now you are the wildlife biologist for a group of counties kind of further up here.
Right, yes.
So talk about that.
Yeah, so now I'm the biologist for Armstrong, Bailey, Briscoe, Castro, Deaf Smith, Lamb, Palmer, Randall, and Swisher counties. I have 9. I think I'm tied for the most counties of any biologist in the state. And I get to do a ton of different stuff throughout all of those counties. So I do regulatory surveys for wildlife.
What's that mean?
That is usually involves just driving around and counting things. So to build population models to determine if populations are healthy. So right now I'm doing surveys for pheasants. I also do surveys for quail and dove and cranes and prairie chickens and deer and pronghorn. One of the great things about being a biologist here in the Panhandle is we have a huge diversity of species that we get to focus on compared to a biologist in the hill country that pretty much just do deer.
That's interesting. I think when I was thinking about this morning, what I was excited about this conversation is a lot of people talk about how we got a lot of nothing up here. And I was like, she is not going to agree.
No, we have so much up here.
It's so cool.
It is an awesome, awesome place.
So more, what is that, eco-diverse than the hill country. Biodiversity, thank you.
And not necessarily like species count-wise, but as a biologist in terms of like game species, which are the species we have the funding to really do a lot of investigating on, and that we really have a responsibility to care for these populations, right? If people are going to be out there using these populations, enjoying them, getting meat from them, we want to make sure that that's sustainable so that not only can you go deer hunt, your grandkids and great-grandkids also go deer hunt and have the same wealth of wildlife riches that we have today. So we spend a lot of time making sure that our hunting efforts are going to be sustainable. And then we also have a lot of cool non-game species up here that they don't have down in the hill country. So the Panhandle is beautiful and diverse, but it takes a trained eye sometimes to see it. I know when I first moved here, I was like, oh, this place.
It's a lot of grass.
It's a lot of grass and it's just flat. And it doesn't help that I moved here in 2010, so the drought kicked off like right after I moved here. So it like rained and snowed a little bit my very first semester at WT, and then it like basically didn't rain for the rest of my undergrad and graduate career. So
really good for a biologist.
Yes. Yeah.
No water.
I joke, I took a mammalogy class, and usually that involves a lot of trapping small animals like mice and rats. Of all of our traps, we caught like 2 mice the whole semester because there just weren't any because there was no rain. But once I started learning about the wildlife and the plants, you realize there's really a lot of diversity here. Like we're in the central flyway for birds.
Yeah.
We're in like the migration, like if you're a birder, the Texas Panhandle is an awesome place to live because we get bird species passing through here, just hundreds of different species.
Yeah, I've got some friends that are birders, and they keep trying to pull me in, and I'm sure that I will give in sooner rather than later, but I had no idea. Like, they have a really cool birding class at Amarillo College.
Yeah.
And this is like the place to be.
Yeah, it's a really great place to be a birder. I joke that if you enjoyed Pokemon Go, you will love bird watching because it is real life Pokemon Go.
That's great.
You
That's
get to
cool.
walk around with binoculars. It can be really social. Go out with friends. Look for birds. They're super fun to watch. It's fun to keep a list and check and find new species that you haven't seen before. And it's a really fun way to connect with this land that we live on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What other, it's like, what you working on?
What am I working on?
Yeah.
So
what are those critters doing out there?
Yeah, right now I don't have any like project that I've specifically started up here yet. I'm just kind of like getting to know all of my
because you just started in
area.
July. Yeah, for
Exactly.
sure.
And
Okay,
then,
cool.
So I had like a month, and then I left for maternity leave for 3 months, and now I'm back. So right now I'm issuing a lot of deer permits for folks who have properties enrolled in our managed land deer program.
Okay.
So if you enroll in that, you get an extended hunting season, and in exchange, you have a biologist that helps you write a wildlife management plan for your property, and I get to help you determine how many deer you're going to harvest. So you can't just use that tag off your hunting license. I'm going to say, okay, you can sustainably harvest $4 this year. You get extra time to harvest them, but you also only get $4 for your property.
Yeah.
So kind of it has trade-offs, but I think overall it's landowners seem to really like it.
Yeah, I mean, I think having like expertise in managing, your land is great.
Yeah, so that's a big part of what I do is meeting with landowners, and you don't have to be enrolled in that managed lands deer program to have me come out and help you with your property. If you have a larger property and you'd like help managing it for wildlife, you can give me a call. I will come out. It's totally free. I will look at your property with you. We'll talk about your goals, and I'll help you come up with the wildlife management plan. I can help connect you to grants if you need to do some habitat work, whether that be spraying your mesquite trees or doing a prescribed fire or putting in wildlife watering structures, things like that. So I'm a resource. I can help you manage whatever critters you're interested in.
How neat.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is going really well in our ecosystem in the Panhandle?
That's a great question.
I mean, it's been rainy this year,
Yes.
so I assume that's helpful.
Yes,
There's
the
more
rain
critters.
Is great.
Yeah.
And our ecosystem is adapted for that kind of drought and rainy cycle.
Right.
So the critters can bounce back after droughts. I would say that just in the 15 years that I've been in the Panhandle, I would say our grassland management has improved. I see a lot less overgrazed pastures. Part of that might be because we've had good rains and it's harder to overgraze when you have lots of grass.
Okay.
I think we also up here have some really good public lands. Paladuro Canyon is spectacular.
Yeah.
We are so lucky to have that. That was one of the things when I moved down here. I was like, oh, it's hideous. I'd always lived somewhere where I had mountains like visible, and I just had to discover the mountains here. They're just underground.
Yeah.
they're flipped upside down. You can't see the beauty until you're on the edge of the canyons. But yeah, Paladuro is beautiful. The Canadian River drainage is fantastic. Buffalo Lake National Wildlife Refuge is here. We're not that far from Rita Blanca National Grasslands.
Oh, I don't know where that. What is that?
So that's up near Dalhart.
Okay,
It's
cool.
federal property. It's one of the few places in the state where you can just walk out there and go hunt. Like, you don't need anything other than your hunting license as long as you're on that federal grassland property.
Okay.
So, really cool.
Have you been out to Crossbar?
I have.
You have.
That is a beautiful place.
It is.
They've done a great job managing that property.
Yeah, it's
really
been
cool.
it's doing a real interesting thing. I'm watching it to see
Yes.
if they get that opened up.
Yeah, it's really cool. The first horned lizard I ever caught was on Crossbar
Oh.
when I was a student. So it's a
Fun.
cool property.
Hey, Amarillo. If you have ever dreamed of a home that's not just built for now, but built for the duration, then you must know about For the Duration Homes. They're a family-owned, panhandle-based builder crafting energy-efficient, beautifully designed spaces. I've seen some of their work, really lovely. Now, from custom homes to remodels to pools, what I love also is their commitment to community, transparency, and treating every project like it's their own. Check out their work at ftdhomes.com or check out their brand new podcast, The Home Innovation Show, for design inspo and building tips from right here in the Texas Panhandle. That's For the Duration Homes. Check them out.
What are some challenges that our ecosystem is facing in the Panhandle?
So, water conservation would be a big one. As the Ogallala Aquifer gets lower, it changes agricultural practices. That's going to be a challenge going forward. The aquifer recharges incredibly slowly, so the water that we've got is the main water that we've got to work with going forward, and we need to steward that wisely. So I think that's going to be a challenge for us as a community living on top of that aquifer and relying on it for our drinking water and for our agricultural water. From a wildlife perspective, wind turbines are a bit of a challenge. They're great for providing like low carbon energy, but they do impact our wildlife, not just from like blade strikes on critters, but every wind turbine has a road going out to it, and that really fragments our habitat. There are a lot of species that, either vehicle traffic on that road is going to be a source of mortality, but also just having that change, that breakup in their habitat. If you're a little horned lizard, a 12-foot wide road, like that's a really big open swath where you're exposed to predators, things like that. So wind turbines, just from a habitat fragmentation perspective, are a challenge, especially for one of our at-risk species, the prairie chickens. They don't like any sort of vertical structure. A field of wind turbines
Quite vertical.
is very vertical. So
what animals in kind of like your new territory are you kind of like interested in, or maybe like more expert in talking about? Like, are you starting to, are there some species that you're like, I'm going to dig out on that because I know about it?
Yeah, I'm really excited to be back in pronghorn country.
Cool.
So I did my master's work on pronghorn. So I'm really excited to be back in an area with pronghorn. We've got some pretty good populations up in the Panhandle. We do surveys of them every year to kind of determine how many pronghorn tags we're going to issue for hunting opportunities. And our pronghorn are doing really well. They dipped a little bit during the drought, but we have a good, strong pronghorn population. Now, it is impacted by some habitat loss. Some of the big solar farms that have gone in have, pronghorn like open grassland, and that is an ideal place to put up a bunch of solar panels. But unfortunately, underneath the solar panels, there's not a lot of food for pronghorn.
Right.
So that's a source of habitat loss. They also struggle with fences. For some reason, they don't jump them. They physically have the ability to jump a fence, but they don't. So they will get stuck in a corner, and if a fire comes through and pins them in a corner, they'll instead of jumping the fence, they'll burn up.
How interesting.
Yeah. So
but they can.
Yes. So they prefer to go under them. So
Okay.
having that bottom wire lifted off the ground a little bit really helps them. So lift it up so those pronghorn can scoot underneath.
Hmm. You bring up wildfires. Man, we sure been dealing with them.
Oh, yes.
What is your perspective? How, as a wildlife biologist in an area that is seeing increasing amounts of wildfires, larger,
Yeah.
more severe and more damaging? What obviously, the habitat loss, I'm assuming, but what do you think about what is the impact that it has on our animals?
Yeah, so as part of my job, I'm also a wildland firefighter. So I do a lot of prescribed
Cool.
fire. So I don't do a lot of fire fighting. I only work on putting out fires if they're on parks and wildlife property.
Oh, okay.
But I light a bunch of fires, prescribed fires, intentionally planned prescribed fires for habitat restoration. Our ecosystem up here is designed to be burned. All of our critters and plants are adapted for fire. We have some species of plants that their seeds will only germinate if they're burned or if they're exposed to smoke. So
it's fascinating.
Yeah, from a wildlife perspective, wildfires, ideally we don't want them to be as, hot and powerful and extreme as some of the ones we've seen lately have been, because those will damage mature trees in river bottoms and things like that, which we'd rather avoid. But on the whole, we live in a fire-adapted ecosystem, and using prescribed fire is actually a great tool for protecting from wildfires. So I don't know if you've heard about what the city of Borger did with the big fires that we had, what was that, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
They had gone ahead and done prescribed fires around the edge of the city as a kind of safety measure against wildfires, and it saved the town.
Wow.
When that big fire came through, it stopped at those areas that
because the fuel had already been removed.
Exactly. So prescribed fire can be a really good tool for mitigating impacts of those big wildfires. Obviously, just as a person with a heart, I hate that so much country got burned up and people lost so much, both in terms of human life, all the cattle that got burned up, that's heartbreaking.
Yes.
From a wildlife perspective, though, it didn't create any habitat loss. If anything, it improved the habitats in some areas. We have a wildlife management area up near Canadian, the Jean Howe Wildlife Management Area. Our biologist up there, Brody Larkin, he's doing a great job monitoring after the wildfire burned 99% of the WMA, and it has bounced back beautifully. Brody would be a great person to have on your podcast to talk about that.
Yeah, it's beautiful up there too.
It's really great. So, and Brody was my intern back in the day, so he's a great guy.
How fun.
Yeah, he's doing great.
So the pronghorn, they tend, correct me if I'm wrong, they tend to be a little bit further north, right?
So historically, they ranged from Mexico all the way up through Canada.
Really?
Yes. So they like wide open grasslands. So in areas where we have human development, they're not going to thrive as much.
Yeah.
But nowadays, you typically see most pronghorn up north, I think Nebraska and Colorado and Montana, things like that. But historically, we've had pronghorn all the way down through New Mexico. They ranged across most of Texas, but they don't like trees and brush. So for me, I think about Paducah, which is where I lived before we moved up here. Historically, they had pronghorn in Paducah, but now it's so brushy that there's no pronghorn habitat left. So,
what do you love about your job?
What do I love about my job? So much. It's a really wonderful job. I love getting to work hands-on with critters. That's kind of one of the main reasons I got into this field, is because I love animals. So getting to work hands-on with stuff is really cool. I love when I'm catching birds. A lot of times, I'm the only person that is ever going to touch this bird. And I'm going to put a little identification band on its leg and let it go and be like, well, maybe I'll catch you again someday. And then the times when I do recapture them, I have, there was one cardinal that I first banded back in, let's say 2013, and I, recaptured him again 2 years later and again a year after that. And it's like, wow, I have been with you since you were a little bird out of the nest. And it's really special to get to.
That is very sweet. And cardinals are very symbolic birds.
Yes, they are. I will say, when you have them in hand, they are feisty little boogers. They bite so hard. It hurts. They go for the areas, the cuticles around your fingernails.
Oh my gosh.
And those little beaks are strong. But I would bite me too. I'm a giant monster that's
right,
them.
Yeah.
So
very
totally
strange.
fair. So I love getting to have my hands on the critters. And then, I love them, so I care a lot about their populations. And
Yeah.
we have them to go forward and enjoy in the future, and for everyone in Texas to enjoy. The people of Texas are who own our wildlife. Like by law, wildlife is a public resource. So that cardinal that you see, that's your cardinal. Like it belongs to you. It belongs to the people of Texas. So I think that's a real privilege to get to manage the wildlife of the people of Texas. I really love that. I also love my coworkers. We have a really great culture within Texas Parks and Wildlife. The pay is enough, but I have a master's degree in a science field. I could make way more money doing something else. So everyone in Texas Parks and Wildlife is in it because they're really passionate about wildlife and managing the resource and giving people access to the outdoors. So it's a really wonderful agency to be a part of. We're all really passionate about the work that we do.
Yeah, I always really appreciate efforts to connect people to our place.
Yes. Yeah. The Texas Panhandle is a wonderful place if you look for it. It's easy to just say, oh, it's just flat and grass and wind. But no, like we have an amazing diversity of plants out there in that grass. We have lots of critters that are using it that depend on that grassland. Grassland birds are actually the fastest declining bird group in the United States.
What are examples of grassland birds?
So things like meadowlarks,
Okay.
grasshopper sparrows, prairie chickens are kind of a big, easy to see bird because they're so big and they rely so much on just open, flat grasslands.
So like scissortails?
Yeah, scissortails. They can also do well in areas with a little bit of trees, like a savanna type ecosystem. But yeah, we've got a lot of really cool grassland birds in the Texas Panhandle, and that's an ecosystem that's vanishing really quickly across the world because grasslands are really easy to convert into farmland. So it's easy to lose that habitat because it's really easy to convert it and make money off of it.
Use it for something else.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, as you've said, these solar farms or wind turbine farms, all of that, it's a bunch of wide open space that you need for that stuff.
Exactly. And one of the cool things about grassland ecosystems is, historically we would have had bison here, but cattle can step in and fill a very similar ecological role to bison. So cattle ranching can be done in a way that really is great for wildlife, where they're creating good habitat for wildlife while also, converting that grass into delicious cheeseburgers. It's kind of a wonderful thing that we're able to do here in the Panhandle.
Why do we not have bison anymore? That might be a dumb question. I don't know, but why?
It's a sad story.
Okay.
Mainly because
just overhunting?
Yeah, Europeans knew that our indigenous people relied on bison for their livelihoods, and they intentionally killed all of them to make the Native Americans have to leave.
I see.
Yeah. It was like just a focused eradication effort to get rid of all the bison to control Native Americans. Really sad.
Yeah. Now, I know that we have the bison herd over in outside of Turkey in Caprock Canyon State Park.
Yeah, that's one of the few remnant plains bisons that we have left in the United States. Charles Goodnight saved that bison herd from extermination. And we've got a genetic line back to the original bison that were here in the Panhandle in that state bison herd. So if you guys want to see it, go check out Caprock Canyon State Park. You can go out there and have a bison come up to your car. It's like you're at Yellowstone or something with the bison.
It's so cool. We actually were just out there weekend before last, and I've been out there several times. But it's funny. My dad has this saying, like, it's not Disneyland, and it is like not Disneyland. The gigantic bison will come up to your car, and I'm like, oh, let's roll the windows up.
Yes,
just hands and feet in the vehicle.
One of the social media trends that I've been like, oh no, is that if it's not a friend, why is it friend shaped? And I'm like, because it doesn't want to be your friend. Like, real life is not a Disney movie. Wild animals don't want to be your friend. They're wild. And if you do somehow convince them to be your friend, you're putting them at risk.
Right.
Being around people is really dangerous for wild animals, and not everyone is as friendly towards them as you are.
Yeah.
So if you kind of habituate wild animals that people are friendly, well, not all people are friendly, and you're really putting them at risk, having them want to be around people.
Yeah.
Because people have vehicles which are incredibly deadly. People will feed animals things that are not safe for them. And then if an animal attacks a person,
they're going to get euthanized, like it's their
exactly.
fault.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's. I mean, there's nothing as a wildlife manager. Like, what else am I supposed to do? I have to protect people. I can't just let animals go around hurting people. But it's really unfair to those animals.
Yep, keep wildlife wild.
Exactly.
You referenced Yellowstone. I recently read in a pop-up of the Panhandle Plains Historical Museum that, and I can't remember the percentage, but like a notable percentage of the Yellowstone herd is direct descendant from the Goodnight herd.
Yes, I've read that as well.
Because his wife donated them, and I thought that was really cool.
It's so cool. Yeah, my understanding is that a portion of them are from the Goodnight herd, and a portion were from a remnant herd that was being used in like movies in California. Like they were using to film westerns, and that's the only reason those bison had survived.
It's very interesting. Well, Panhandle legacy and Yellowstone National Park.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
What makes your job challenging?
I would say probably the human dynamics of it.
Yeah.
If it was just just managing wildlife without managing people, I feel like we have a pretty good handle on what wildlife need or what most species need. Some species are still a bit of a mystery.
What's an example of that?
It's kind of regional, but so for example, I was wanting to do a project to look at javelina. We have them up this far north, which is wild. They range all the way down into like the rainforests of Central America, and like I don't know, how do they stay warm in the winter? They have no biological adaptation for cold weather, but yet we still have them up here where it is cold, and they're slowly moving north. Part of that might be because of climate change, but like I don't have an answer. I would love to study it and find out. And so that's
sounds like the beginning of an excellent research project.
Yes, I tried a couple years ago, and unfortunately, the funding got beaten out by funding for the cottontail rabbits out in far west Texas. Those
rabbits.
dang bunnies stole my $1 million. No,
they'd be like Elmer Fudd.
They're an at-risk species. It's important to learn about them as well. But
Sure.
I was like, I wanted to answer my javelina questions.
So are javelinas, are they the ones that tear up all the ground, or is that more the boar?
That's feral pigs.
Okay,
Yeah.
pigs. That's
Yes.
different. Is that different than boar or no?
They're the same thing.
Okay,
so
cool.
people call them by different things. They'll call them wild boar, but really they're not a native species. Most of them are released or escaped domestic hogs. Some people release European wild boars because they wanted to hunt them, and so some of them have some wild boar genetics, but most of them, the majority of their genetics are feral hogs. They're super destructive. They have really explosive reproductive potential. They like one sow can have like a dozen piglets and just rinse and repeat. And they're really, really smart. They're great at surviving.
They make a mess of things.
Yes, they
do. We have them up here?
We do.
We do.
Unfortunately,
really?
Yes, we do. Unfortunately, if you go down to Paladuro Canyon, you can find evidence of them down there.
Oh yeah, I guess that is true. You do see kind of the ruts or whatever.
Yeah. So they're not as much of a problem like up on the high plains. Flat. They do need water to drink. So that's a little bit of a limiting factor, and they don't do super great when it's cold. But they're also really clever, and they can find that little crevice that's out of the wind and out of the snow and find a way to make it.
Interesting.
It's kind of an interesting thing about pigs. Like they're super smart. Like as an individual, pigs are very cool. But as a biologist, if I'm looking at a whole ecosystem, they're terrible. They're so disruptive. This area is not designed to have pigs like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What can people do to contribute to the health of our ecosystem on the high plains?
That's a great question. For someone who is just living in town, I would say conserve water would be a big one. Conserve your water. Try not to, hose off your driveway if you don't need to. Things like that. Also,
watch your sprinkler system.
Exactly.
Ugh, that runoff.
Yes.
It's like, oh no.
And then when you go and vote, vote for elected officials that are going to prioritize conserving our water, because it's a public thing. Like you can only do so much as an individual, and like everyone needs to eat the food that our agricultural producers are making, right?
All eating corn.
Like I need a cheeseburger, I eat corn, but we can do that in ways that are sustainable. So I would say vote and conserve water, and then also go out and like utilize our public lands. Like go out to Paladuro Canyon. The money that you spend going into the park, that gets used to fund the parks. Same now with if you go and purchase camping supplies, a portion of that money goes back to our state parks.
Just like everywhere?
Yeah.
Oh,
Texas.
that's so cool.
It's so awesome. Yeah, we have a sporting goods sales tax now that helps support our state parks. It's really wonderful.
Cool. I think it's a really good point you make to just go enjoy them, because
Yeah.
the more that you know something, the more that you care about preserving
Exactly.
it.
Yeah, if you don't spend time with something, like you're not gonna care as much when an opportunity
Miss it
to
when
make
it's gone.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
This episode is sponsored by the Amarillo Art Institute at Arts in the Sunset. If you haven't been, this place is an amazing center for Amarillo's vibrant art scene. They have monthly events, including the First Friday Art Walk, which showcases the artists they have in residence, and they are some incredibly talented people with all sorts of wares and mediums. They also offer classes for children and adults in things like glass blowing, weaving, and pottery. It's super cool. Check them out on Facebook. That's Arts in the Sunset.
Okay, I'm back with Caroline Ellison. Caroline, this is the part of the show I call 8 Straight.
Okay.
I've got 8 questions for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Fire away.
When you think of Amarillo 10 years from now, what do you hope for? And for this purpose, you could, the broader population, the broader panhandle.
Okay. I hope that we are good stewards of our water. I hope that we can make our aquifer last us a long time so that we can continue to have agricultural production up here at the scale that we need to have it for our communities to be able to be successful. I hope that we are good stewards of our grasslands. I hope that we keep doing responsible grazing practices with our rangelands and our cattle populations. And I hope that we can continue to be good stewards of our land, hopefully by incorporating some prescribed fire into our landscape to help protect us from wildfires. Also just to manage our habitats in the way that they were designed. Like they need fire.
Yeah. Other than wind, what does this area have too much of?
So we have too many mesquite trees and cedar trees. And call me and I will help you get rid of them if you have property that has lots of mesquite and cedar on it. Historically, we should be a short grass prairie, maybe a mixed grass prairie in some areas, but we really should not have as many mesquites and cedars as we have.
How did that happen?
So partly by changing fire regimes. Historically, this area would have burned, probably every 3 to 6 years, whether that be from lightning strike fires or fires set by indigenous people. But when Europeans got out here, we have been putting out all the fires that get started because we don't want it to burn up our stuff.
Yep.
Totally fair.
Fencing's expensive.
Exactly. But because we don't have that fire anymore, all those little mesquite seedlings that normally wouldn't get above knee high, they have time to get big and tall. Also changing our grazing regime. In the past, we had overgrazing. If you graze off all of the grass, you don't have the grass to outcompete all of those little tree seedlings for shade and sunlight and things like that. And it gives them a chance to get big enough to where they're taller than the grass, and then they can take over.
And the problem, of course, is that they both use a lot of water.
Yes,
Yeah.
They use a lot of water, and then they just change the habitat structure. So I mentioned earlier that grassland birds are really imperiled. Those grassland birds need grasses, not trees.
Right.
So in this instance, trees are not good outside of where they belong, along river drainages, things like that. Yeah, we historically would have had some trees. Same with cedars, like, on the walls of the canyon, there wouldn't have been much fire. Critters can't get up there to graze. There would have been cedars there historically, but not at the densities that we've got it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does this area not have enough of?
Rain. We don't have enough rain.
I think everyone agrees with you on that. Even in this lovely, it's been a very, very wet kind of spring, summer, and into fall, but
Yes.
yeah, love a rain.
Yes.
What's your favorite local building?
I really love a lot of the old houses around Amarillo College, like on Washington
yeah.
Street in that area. Like, they are so gorgeous. I love how unique they all are. Some people have them painted all sorts of cool colors, and they're just gorgeous.
Yeah, I agree. The big old porches and stuff.
Those historic houses are beautiful.
I agree. What's your favorite local restaurant?
So Living in Happy, I have to give a shout out to the Lunchbox in
Okay.
Happy. It's our one restaurant. Camille Cox runs it. She makes awesome food, and she will adopt you when you walk in the door and treat you like one of her kids, and she'll tell you to make good choices before you leave.
Always helpful advice.
Yes. In Amarillo,
Yeah.
I would say my favorite, I've got to say Malcolm's, because their ice cream sundaes are so, so good.
Nice.
Love Malcolm's.
Very good. How do you describe Amarillo to people outside the area?
I say that it is flat and windy, and it has some of the friendliest people in the whole world. The people up here are just so kind and friendly and helpful and just genuinely the best people I've ever met.
I agree. What's the most underrated aspect of living in Amarillo?
I would say our beautiful natural areas. Paladuro Canyon is spectacular. Lake Meredith is beautiful. The Canadian River drainage, absolutely breathtaking. And even just our native prairies, they're beautiful, especially combined with a beautiful West Texas sunrise or sunset. Like, we have really beautiful places up here if you just stop and look.
Yeah. When was the last time you went to Paladuro Canyon?
So it's been about a year.
Really?
The only reason it's been so long is because the last year I've been duper pregnant.
You've been
moving.
pregnant. That's right.
So I'm actually going to go out there next week.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
well, it is gorgeous.
It is so beautiful.
Now's the time of year.
Oh, yeah, because the cottonwoods are starting to change colors. It is beautiful.
It is. All right, that concludes our 8 straight questions. Caroline, I like to end my interviews by asking my guests to endorse something. So if it's something that a person listening doesn't know about, hadn't tried, what would you have them know, do, try in our area?
If you have not been out to Paladuro Canyon State Park, you have got to go out there. It is so beautiful. And they have got some really great park rangers who can help teach you about all the critters and plants out there. They have guided hikes and lots of different educational programs for you to be able to learn about the wildlife that you've got around you. You know, I've talked a lot on this interview about how if you stop and look, there's so much there. Those park rangers at Paladuro can help show you what is there.
I really like that because I think that, even for myself, I got to the canyon a lot, and I just think about, like, let's go hiking.
Yeah.
Which there certainly is a lot of
Yeah.
excellent hiking.
Yes.
But there also are a lot of programs. There's a lot of learning to be done.
Yeah.
They do really cool stuff. If you follow them on Facebook, they do like moon walks and night walks with kids and daytime stuff. There's like the bird blind you can go like sit in. So I really appreciate that it's like a little bit more intentional than like go out and hike at the canyon.
Exactly.
It's go out and take advantage of the
Yes.
resources that the Parks Department
Exactly.
has.
And they're your resources. They belong to you. So go use them.
I like it very much. Caroline, thank you so much for your time this morning. It's been really interesting.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Yes, ma'am.
Get ready for unforgettable music from the Amarillo Symphony. On November 21st and 22nd, they'll take you on a cosmic journey with Holst's The Planets, featuring singers from West Texas A&M. Then celebrate the season at the beloved Happy Holiday Pops concerts. That's December 19th and 20th, and featuring special guest Annika Spalding from the Little Theater. These festive performances are the perfect way to ring in the holidays with your favorite seasonal music and joyful entertainment. Whether you're drawn to epic orchestral masterworks or holiday favorites, there's an exciting experience waiting for you. Don't miss a single note. Visit AmarilloSymphony.org for your tickets today.
And that concludes the episode. Thank you to Caroline for the interview. You can learn more about the offerings out at the canyon, as well as how to get in touch with her for any preservation you might be interested in, by visiting tpwd.texas.gov. Thank you to the Amarillo Symphony and Amarillo Art Institute, as well as For the Duration Homes for supporting this episode, and to Angelina Marie for editing every week. Executive producers this week are Jim and Barbara Witten. And thank you for listening. This has been episode 423 of Hey Amarillo. I'm Skylar Gallup, and I hope you'll come back next week.